let's ask some basic questions. Now, I want to begin with Mr. Amit Malviya, the national spokesperson of the Bharatiya Janata Party. Mr. Malviya, look, there is no crime in fighting for democracy and its upkeep anywhere across the world. Why not? It's the best thing that humankind gave itself in the modern era. So if someone feels passionately about democracy and they fight for it and they fund people who want to fight for it, what's wrong with that? Why should we believe that there is more to this entire exercise than what obviously is the intention?
Well, Rahul, most certainly everyone has the right to fight for democratic values and what they believe to be right. But who exactly is George Soros to interfere in India's internal matter? He's not an Indian citizen. And last I knew, he was a billionaire investor who is known for his reputation, a notorious one at that, for meddling in affairs of democracies around the world. And what is it that changed for George Soros between 2006, when he was here in India, and in an interview to a media organization, spoke eloquently and very positively about India, saying that it has everything going right for it, it is the emerging market to watch out for, except the fact that the government changed and the new dispensation took office soon after, and that probably was not to his liking or wasn't pliable enough as he would have liked. There are several coincidences to suggest that George Soros has a truck with India's opposition party, starting from Shashi Tharoor, who met George Soros just before the cabinet expansion or swearing in 2009, and several other leaders have at different points in time met George Soros and have spoken quite eloquently about his vision for India and the world. So clearly he seems to be not comfortable with the current regime, which is not perhaps willing to play ball with him and his investment interests. And that is why he wants a government that is more pliable, that is more suited to his interests. And that probably explains the $1 billion that he put out or pledged to target rising nationalism, as he called, or would-be dictators. Now explain to me how a prime minister elected by 1.3 billion people is any less worthy of being in office because somebody called George Soros with $1 billion thinks that the country deserves someone else to be the prime minister or there should be a different regime. It's quite simple. The man has voracious greed for making money. He uses financial markets to do that. He has done so successfully with Bank of England and has wreaked havoc in several other economies and has perhaps even managed to unsettle some governments and got better. But this is India. It has a far more resilient democracy, and despite his Indian collaborators, who are of all hues, they exist in political parties, primarily the main opposition party, the Congress, and there are also some busybodies, some NGOs, some lawyers who routinely file matters and take them to the judicial route, use litigation as a legitimate tool for agenda setting and narrative. And we've seen that quite aggressively 2018 onwards, from the violence and the big push for scrapping the sedition law that came after the violence of Bhima Koregaon, the farmer agitation, the CAA protest, most recently the Rafale controversy, Pegasus. All of them have an imprint of George Soros. They are somewhere linked to organizations, to media houses, to professionals, to activists, to busybodies who are funded by George Soros or have a truck with him, have attended conferences, been seen with him, or in general are part of the cabal that is left-leaning and funded by the billions that George Soros has earned through his malpractices or manipulating markets, if you like it.
Okay, so let me just very quickly open this up further, and I'll bring in Dr. Ranganathan. Dr. Ranganathan, look, there is an interesting point that Amit Malviya makes. He says, what changed?